Thank you all very much. Firstly, can I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of this land? We are all fortunate to share in the oldest continuous culture known to human history. And can I also acknowledge the steadfast support of the Jewish community for reconciliation? Can I acknowledge just a few others? I won't go through the long list that Jeremy has gone through, but to His Excellency Ambassador Maimon, thank you for your very, very kind words. Both he and Jeremy read them exactly as I had written them for them. In all seriousness, though, thank you so much, Jeremy, and thank you to so many others here, indeed everyone who's come along this evening. It is an honour to be here. I have won state elections. I've had the honour to lead our state. I have in the best and the worst of times, but tonight's award is truly an honour among many special moments in my public life. Melbourne's Jewish community are not easily impressed. So I'm genuinely touched by the affection and regard shown to me. It's also very special for Kath and I to have our family here, Noah and Ellie, Grace and Joseph. Thank you so much for the kind invitation and for the honour that's been bestowed this evening. It's my hope that just as many in the community have been true friends to me, that I have been a true friend to the community and to the state of Israel. Friends, Israel is a miracle, improbable if not for the spirit of the Jewish people, implausible if not for the intellect, ingenuity and hard work of the Jewish people, and sadly imperilled if not for the bravery of the Jewish people. My support, as Jeremy alluded to, almost stealing some of my lines, they're not lines, they are truths that have been with me for decades and decades, all the way back to my time at Monash University under the expert tutelage of Professor Colin Rubinstein, when I studied many, many units of Middle Eastern politics. My support for Israel has always been grounded in simple and fundamental logic. Israel is the only democracy in a despotic region, the only place with gender equality at law, the only place where people are free and safe to love who they love, criticise their government if they wish, and organise in their workplaces. Israel is more than a start-up nation. It's a stand-up nation. A Jewish state, but a place of great diversity that stands up against evil every day. Israel takes that stand in a defiant and, God-willing, successful act of self-defence. But Israel stands not just for its citizens, but for all of us the world over. Much is written and much is said about peace. And while we all desperately long for that day, it must be said that there can be no peace without a partner. If the Iron Dome was switched off for even 1 hour, there would be no peace and there would be no Israel. Much is also said about a ceasefire. Well, that is of course a legitimate aim, but its legitimacy is in tatters if you fail to acknowledge that there was in fact a ceasefire on October the 6th last year. Over these last 12 months, I, like all of you, have been angered and saddened by those who know nothing of the history of this region, yet opine about its future. Those who know little of Israel or the Jewish people, yet feel obliged and able to criticise. And perhaps worst of all, those whose rank anti-Semitism has been exposed by the events of October 7 and the conflict beyond. Friends, my message tonight is in 3 parts. Firstly, these are the most difficult of times. Let's not be naive though. Anti-Semitism is not new, and every Jew knows that only too well, each and every day. But the ferocity and the brazenness of anti-Jewish and anti-Israel sentiment is like nothing that I have seen in my lifetime. It is a stain on our nation, and it shames us all. Worse perhaps than the anti-Semites are those whose silence cuts even deeper. Now is the time to speak up, to speak out and defend decency, diversity and safety. To be clear and to be consistent. We condemn it, and moreover, we will not stand for it. I was nearby to the Parliament steps just the other day, and I crossed the road to avoid the inevitable confrontation with protesters. I do that quite a lot. But I almost didn't cross the road because I saw a young woman holding a banner, and whilst the words of the banner were not clear to me, I saw something that really summed up, at least for me, the ignorance and the hypocrisy of this debate. She was wearing a T-shirt with a rainbow on it. She was obviously a supporter of the LGBTIQ+ community, as I am. Ladies and gentlemen, try wearing that T-shirt in Gaza and see how that works out for you. Try protesting in Gaza. The list goes on and on. As sad and as angry as I've been, and I know you've been, I do want each of you to know that the vast majority of Victorians and Australians have bigger hearts and, frankly, bigger brains. You are loved, you are respected, and you are enough. The Jewish community are central to our multiculturalism and central to the values and the success of our state. Please, never, ever doubt that. Secondly, I have a challenge for each of you. No community is more generous than the Jewish community, and no state has a better developed culture of endowment and philanthropic giving than Victoria. Those two facts have a linear connection. I have seen firsthand in my time as Health Minister, Leader of the Labor Party and Premier of our state, both publicly and privately, just how generous this community is. It is quite remarkable, and it should be a point of pride. Much of that giving is the subject of funding agreements, contracts and other instruments. In my view, those agreements ought to include the willingness to stand against anti-Semitism. Part of the bargain, if you like, ought to be that you don't go missing when evil takes hold. Moreover, you don't promote and promulgate anti-Jewish sentiment or amateur hour, barely undergraduate level foreign and strategic policy analysis, much less hate and prejudice. I would ask each of you respectfully, continue to review your giving. Check and check again that those who so happily benefit from your generosity are not in real terms pretend friends, or worse, actually working against the Jewish community and decency itself. If people won't speak out against anti-Semitism, defund them. If people are happy, in fact, to take your money while being anti-Semites, defund them. If you want to support Hamas, then get them to pay your bills. Get them to fund your programs and build your buildings. I am serious. We're beyond tropes. Silence and much worse is only possible if there are no consequences. Now, if you do refine your giving, I will back you publicly and loudly. Now, finally, I said three things. We're on to the third one. Because there's another, well, in fact, there is a very special person who I'm only here tonight to celebrate another award that's been given to a dear friend, and it is great to see you so well and to see you here getting the proper recognition that you so richly deserve. So thirdly, as difficult as things are today, a war on at least two fronts, raging anti-Semitism and a warped logic that glosses over October 7 and the fact that Israel is fighting for its very existence, I want to say to you that there is hope. Good people know and understand that each of us have a stake in Israel's future, and each of us are blessed by the Jewish community. You have many, many friends, and I am honoured to count myself as one of them. As we look to the future with determination and hope in equal measure, let me finish by simply saying, Toda Rabah, Lashana Haba'ah Bi Yerushalayim.